Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Corp, in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives after they put out important news. With us today, he's back again, and he's going to keep coming back. Rob Anson from Vegas, CEO and founder of Fobi AI, trades on the TSX Venture on the stock symbol FOBI, and for our friends of the S, FOBIF. For those who are new to the story, because you're seeing more and more headlines, especially the ones that have come out this week, they're hard to miss. This is the description you need to know, and then the support behind it. This is the description. They're a global leader in providing real-time data analytics through artificial intelligence. And what that does is drives customer activation and engagement in the retail sector, specialized on brick and mortar, but now even going over to e-commerce. We know that sounds like a lot, and there are a lot of companies talking about, big data and artificial intelligence. So who believes in the company? Where does the validation come from? They've got a strategic alliance with Nielsen IQ to transform the retail sector. That was Nielsen IQ's headline. They got one of the most significant partnerships in its history with NTT Data, which is the world's fourth largest telecom company. In Vegas, since he's there, the official technology partner to the $2.7 billion all-net resort and arena project, and so many more things because they built a technology stack on top of their technology that's got multiple applications now. They're way beyond just the engagement part. Big press releases again this week. Rob, welcome back. Let's talk about them.
Hey, good morning, George. Thanks for having me. And there's a lot to talk about for sure.
First things first, you're in Vegas for a pretty big conference. How well is that going? What are you hearing from all the interactions you're having with prospective customers and partners?
Well, it was great. The Vegas, the NGA and the Shop Talk are over. I've got various other meetings, and you mentioned AllNet project. It's been taking a big chunk of my time as well on the side, and the other meetings here with the casinos and the other venue operators. No, it's an interesting time. I think for us, George, it's all about transformative solutions. We've, as I said yesterday on your show, we've undergone 20 years of digital transformation in 18 months, right? The world's changing. It's all mobile first. That's why Pass Creator and the Wallet Pass was so important to me. And that was the key of the show for NGA and Shop Talk, was the activation channel for the CPGs, using artificial intelligence to understand the data, the human movement, the basket, the SKU, the loyalty, the transaction, being able to process all of that in real time and then drive the engagement through the Wallet Pass is something that everyone's, excited about. Ties in nicely to the Coupon Bureau with the new 8112 digital standard. And our ability to not just touch the wallet and the phone, but to be able to, print on the receipts, our other text platform, email platform, right? Digital receipting, we have it all covered. So it's the activation side of the business will be a big, big story for us in 2022. And I said that in one of my press releases, if you remember, that the Coupon Bureau and the CPG side of our business will be one of our largest revenues contributors in next year.
Are you? Do you have confidence that you're going to walk out of this conference with a couple of deals or a couple of great partnerships? How successful has it been from the biz dev side?
Oh, we already have some of the largest companies schedule meetings for when I'm back next week. So it's confident. I'm always confident. It's to me, it's always about third-party validation. And there's at the show, everyone's a data company, of course, right? Everyone and their dog is trying to be a data company, and that's for me was okay. Great, we have all the data capabilities, differentiated in real time. That's number one. But two, it's what I talk about is what do you do with the data, right? How do you leverage to monetize the data? It's by activating it through the Wallet Pass and connecting CPG brands to consumers. It's highly targeted, personalized offers based upon your purchase history, George, and tying the online, offline, mobile commerce, it's all fully automated. And that's what people, the heavy lift is done. And that's the proposition of which we're selling and executing.
You almost make it sound too easy though, right? Because there are a lot of people out there who talk
Yep.
about, almost that exact kind of construct.
Yep.
But you guys, for example, just released the next generation of Fobi 3.0. How far, and this is the part that helps everyone when we do these interviews, right? How far ahead are you of Georgecom Data Analytics and ABC, data analytics company with Fobi 3.0? And is that supported by what you're hearing at the conference with these meetings and these presentations?
Well, it is. I mean, how can I put this? If you're preparing, a dinner meal plan, and you've got 75 different utensils you're using, and this is what happens in the world of IT. There's so many various touch points and technologies. Our ability to come in, provide you now with one knife and one bowl to put all of your things into to make dinner, and a lot less cleanup. And Fobi 3.0 transforms all of those IT components into one. And, people always, it's the one thing that we hear over and over, we'd rather deal with one. One is a lot easier than having six, right? I'd rather have one headache than six headaches. And that's what we do, and you're seeing the broad diversity in our applications across so many industries. I mean, we don't sell, I was on a call yesterday for an institutional presentation. I've been doing a lot of presentations and being able to focus more on the capital market side of the business now that I have such a great team. And at the same side, we don't sell ice cream, right? It's a tough story for people to comprehend. But I think for us, the shareholders are starting to now understand that, really this is endless application, right?
Well, market activity is telling us someone's starting to understand out there.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But go ahead.
Yeah, I would just say too, George, and I've probably done 35 meetings the last 2 weeks with different institutions in US and Canada and abroad. Not one has heard of us. Not one. Right. So it's going to be interesting now that, people are starting to hear the story. And this is the value for me of, team. I always team's everything. Right. Because it gives me the ability to sit back now and focus on the market as we're moving towards the listing stuff. People are just starting to understand the story. Our shareholders are starting to understand the value of it. And, the broader market is now understanding, well, who's Fobi? Well, now we're on the radar. Let's put it that way.
And speaking of being on the radar, one thing that caught people's attention in the interview yesterday was you had mentioned that Fobi's talking to 50, but you said, I think, quote, 15 to 18 different sports teams.
Yep.
So you're definitely on the radar when it comes to professional sports. Maybe you can elaborate a little more on that and, what the big drivers are and why so much interest from so many professional sports teams.
Well, it is. You've got the big players, right? And it's no secret, they buy their way in. I don't have the luxury to write a check for $250,000 to put Fobi's logo up on the board and be the official technology provider. So it's very difficult to crack the nuts. But this is the exciting part is, obviously we're disrupting the ecosystem because league head offices have reached out to us to gain further insight and understand because they're getting inundated with phone calls, right? Who are you guys? And what do you do? And how can you help our organization as a whole? It comes down to utility. When you're looking at, I build everything for simplicity and, reconciliation and automation. But at the end of the day, it's all about guest and fan experience, I guess, in this case, where, giving people another reason to stay at home doesn't work. And a lot of the current systems and, government applications for vaccination checks and stuff, it's very clunky, right? It's, dependent upon adoption of a third-party app, where everything we have is appless. It's one touch, it's tied to the ticket, it's eliminating the bottleneck. So it's all about utility for us. These processes, people say, oh, they're going to go away in 3 months, 6 months. They're not going to go away, right? Digital identity and wallets is what we're doing. I mean, as people are going to learn all of, our projects we've implemented in Europe, we're 10 years behind. I mean, you remember Passcreator is, been around 9 years, right? To see what they've done is we're so far behind. And the value of why we're in these conversations, George, it's hard to knock the prominent players out, because the lawyers are comfortable, right? How do we mitigate risk? Let's do what we've always done, right? The teams are the ones that are, no, this is so much more than just, application for getting people in the door. Look at the revenues we can make on this. Look at the increased enhanced guest experience that we can provide. And then, of course, the data side of it, right? So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here, because,
So it sounds like you've got the organizations, the biz dev side are right there. They don't need any more proof.
Nope.
Now you just need to convince the lawyers that there aren't going to be any increased liability that comes, or risk that comes out of all of it.
My afternoon today is with all the lawyers.
Well, if there's anyone that's going to get him over the edge, it's going to be you. That's for sure.
Well, I'm trying.
Let's talk about something that came out of, look, we've been really comfortable with the Fobi story and all the things you've been doing. Like I said at the beginning of my intro, you're building this stack on top. So it seems like the core tech, you keep building stack, keep stacking. But then out of nowhere comes today's press release, a $250,000 data consulting agreement with Azincourt, who's an exploration company. Where did that come from? And when did you first start considering that? Because I didn't even ponder it, that you'd be able to take the technology and apply it to mining and drilling and resource exploration.
Well, it came from one of our shareholders. We've got a tremendous following, very passionate shareholders, some crazy shareholders as well. But like, all kidding aside, we do. It's like, this is a cool part to me is, we've got such support, and I love the innovation and new ideas. Like, I get, as I've told you before, hundreds of LinkedIn messages each and every day, right? Hey, Rob, we should try this. We should look at this. Can I make an introduction here, there? And I'm always nothing venture, nothing gain, and we'll take calls, and kind of stumbled into one here as to, oh, wow, this is very archaic, data processing here. This, I learned how expensive it is to, these exploration projects are very, very expensive. So being able to automate, the data, helping them make smarter, faster, data-driven decisions, I guess, it's going to help them become, the operation, of course, and success of what they're doing. But, when you start to look at profitability, right, they can focus on what they do, and the data will tell them where to go and what to do.
What struck me about it is I suddenly realized, when I looked at Fobi, I thought you guys were limitless in your vertical, in
Yep.
commerce transactions. I thought, okay, that's a massive vertical and that'll keep you busy for a decade. But then this came out of nowhere, and I started thinking to myself, and I have not asked you this question, so it's not like we're playing a game here. We're not doing WWE. And so I'll ask you now, how were you able to, and not from the technical side, but how were you able to adapt the company's AI engine for analyzing data for commerce,
Yep.
and modify it for resources, for drilling exploration? And if you're able to do that, which obviously you have, is there any level of adoption? Can you be stopped for any level of adoption? In other words, is the technology limitless in terms of verticals it can go after to analyze data?
100% it is. This is the first of many. Once again, our shareholders. I've got 4 meetings booked next week because they've made introductions, they're invested, or they work for. No, this will become a big part of our business, and professional service, managed service. This is what we do. The capabilities are and applications of what we built are endless. Data is data for us, right? So it doesn't matter if you're, GeorgeCom, as you like to say, on the corner, or you're an exploration mining company, or you're the Las Vegas Raiders. Data is data, real-time applications, real-time application. It's what we do. So I said, I've said for the last 2 weeks here, hey, look, there's going to be some things that come out of left field. There's going to be new verticals. There's going to be new products. It goes back to last year.
But they got sales with them. That's what I love about it. It's not like you announced, hey, we're going to do data for the mining side. It's right off the bat, a $250,000 consulting agreement.
Yep. No, this is what I mean about us now. The realization of revenue, like last year with you at Christmas time, right? It was, you were pretty excited about what we did, and we didn't really do anything except set the table, right? We're crawl. This year I said we would walk, which we are, almost beginning to run. And 2022 I said would be our year to run. And now that people understand the realization of revenue and the path of it and the velocity of what's coming, like I said, George, I mean, I could be on your show every day, right? People, as I said, are going to get sick of me by the end of the year because we're stacked. And for us, things are moving fast, and this is the key, is to agility. Agility enables you to juke and jive, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, our team is so inspired right now, led by our tech team. I mean, it's unbelievable. They have their sprint demos every 2 weeks that I sit on now, and to see how jazzed they are. I mean, they're working 14, 16 hours a day, and they're loving it. I mean, it's pretty inspiring to see.
Another great talk about, more great products, things coming out. The one I really loved, I loved Azincourt, don't wrong, that was great. I loved the news about the Fobi Data Exchange. And the headline was Fobi Data Exchange launches with first partner, InTouch Group, a leading UK platform managing data from 6,000 independent convenience stores. Yep. So talk to us about what and the acronym is FDX, right? Yep. So you're going to companies now that have super amounts of data that don't necessarily own the data, but they have it. And well, you explain it, because I really love this part of the business that you've announced.
Well, this is where I started, right? With the original Fobi device. Was the challenge for companies like Nielsen IQ is the independent fragmented retail sectors, right? There's thousands of point of sale systems. It's easy to get data from chains because they've got, typically one system, right? So that was the premise for Fobi in the beginning, was let's build an IoT device that can plug into any interface to create cloud computing and data aggregation. And that's the reason why Nielsen IQ was so excited, because we provide access and measurement to these independent retail channels. With InTouch, they've done an amazing job from a cloud aggregation standpoint to ingest all of the data. But we provide the interface for the brands now with Fobi Data Exchange to be able to go log in and to be able to build audiences, gain access to measurement and all the analytics and insights that we provide them with. This has been 5 years in the making, the Fobi Data Exchange, and it doesn't exist today.
And what I like about it is you don't have to have a Fobi device installed at all those registers. No. You've got a InTouch who manages a data lake, and you can just partner up with them to do some pretty big things.
Yeah, but this is just it. Like when I say it doesn't exist, people go, oh, really? It doesn't exist. There's no means to build an audience, upload a campaign, and measure the efficiencies and that campaign. That does not exist. And people, there's a lot of things we do, I think people take for granted. People still don't understand the values of this. I think by the end of 2022, they will. But this is 5 years in the making. Like, this was, the biggest thing we've worked towards, and I've worked towards, was the FDX, because the monetization and revenues from that. Where do you think Facebook and Nielsen, go look at Nielsen's revenues from last year? That's all data monetization, right?
How do you monetize, to explain to people at home? So you've got this massive amount of data, you're running it through your artificial intelligence. Who's the customer at the end of the day? I'm assuming it's all the big.
Well, it's the Visas, it's the MasterCards, it's the Facebooks, right? It's the Nielsen IQs, the RRIs, the Numerators of the world, all the third parties, the CPG brands, right? That's what it's built for. And next year, George, people will start to understand us.
Well, I think a lot of us understand you now, but there's a smaller group of people that understand you, because as Fobi grows, people didn't know who Google was for the first couple of years, unless you're in California, and then the word got out. By the way, for everyone at home, I'm not trying to say that Fobi's gonna be the next Google. So don't. I'm not trying to make that correlation. Not that they aren't, but I'm not going to say.
I was going to say, what do you mean we're not?
Yeah. No. I just can't say it. I'm not saying you're not. But I'm trying to give an example of. I like the way you say. A lot of people don't know Fobi yet, because a lot of us live and breathe Fobi and have been doing so for a year and a half. But it's amazing that you're how you're telling us you're still just at the very beginning. How many in touch groups are there? Similar. How many similar in touch groups are there that have data lakes like this that can become partners of FDX?
There's hundreds of thousands, George, right? It's just that there's organizations like down here, right? Is the conversation is, Rob, we can't even ingest the data. Real time is not possible because we don't have the infrastructure to support it, right? So being able to curate an experience or journey while I'm here, that's why they only gain access to data when you've got your plastic loyalty card plugged into a slot machine down here, right? It's the only mechanism to truly understand what George does is gambles $200 a day in machine number 12. Doesn't tell them anything about what food and beverage, what shopping, what events you're going to. That's the true value. I mean, the gambling industry's changed. Obviously down here, it's non-price sensitive. It's all about the experience from a retail and event and shows and, the dining experience, you say. It's all about the output of the data. They don't need more. They just need ways to leverage it for better experiential applications and then to monetize it. Data monetization is, $1 trillion industry, right? And Fobi Data Exchange is going to gain a big chunk of that.
Last question, even though we have 100 questions I could ask you. You've kind of alluded to it a couple of times, which is, George, I could be on your show, every day for the rest of the year. So let's talk about that a little bit. How does the rest of the year look? In other words, I guess your pipeline, because you said that 2021 was probably going to dwarf 2020 in terms of achievements and magnitude. How does the rest of the year look? Does it look?
Well, we're ahead of schedule, right? We are. We're ahead of schedule. The Fobi 3.0, the Fobi Data Exchange we had for Q1 of next year. Right. So to see the immediate impact that it's made, people will see that in the reporting of Q1 next year, right? Of all these efforts, the value now of the revenues, the snowball's rolling, as they say.
How's the pipeline look? I literally, you think you're going to be on here once a week for the rest of the year, once every couple, easily?
Yeah, I mean, there's, it's almost one of those things. Careful what you wish for, right? But this was the key to what we did, was automating these processes. Most companies couldn't handle. They simply couldn't handle the velocity of the contracts and opportunities. But us, the way we designed everything, George, through automation, enables us to be able to scale like this and move very, very quickly. That's a big difference. I mean, we can onboard people in a matter of minutes, where most it takes weeks, right?
Unbelievable, man. I hear magnitude changes like that, and that's unbelievable to me.
It is. I mean, we have the most talented tech team, very, very proud of what Tamer's built here. I mean, the people that we have in our organization, the speed of which they come up with this stuff is mind-blowing.
Well, Rob, we can't wait to continue seeing the results of the tech that they, the development speed that they're coming up with and the monetization of that. I know you're in Vegas. You've got meetings lined up. You've got calls lined up. You've got lawyers to deal with this afternoon. But man, I'm going to tell you again, I think I speak on behalf of everybody. It is so appreciated when you take the time. You could easily say, hey, George, I don't got the time. I'm in Vegas. It's a short window. I got to cram stuff in. And yet, yesterday you did it with Cam. Today you did it with us here. Appreciate it. Continued success. Good luck down there, and can't wait to have you back. Looks like I'm gonna have to tell the wife she's gonna have to make room for a little Rob time every single week from here on in.
Yeah, no. Thanks for having me, George. And I always do my best to get back to people and do these kind of things. I am very busy, of course, and people please understand that when if I don't respond, it's not that I'm shunning someone. It's I'm focused on executing what we're doing.
Yeah, I think that's what we all want you to do. So good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck for the rest of the conference there in Vegas, and then see you soon, buddy.
Okay, thanks, George.
For everybody at home, you've been watching, or if you're listening by podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, or your favorite podcast platform, to Rob Anson, CEO, Fobi AI, trades in Canada under FOBI, Fobi, and for our friends of the S, FOBIF. For those who are new to the story, especially those you may be in the mining space who definitely saw the Azincourt news and wondered where these guys come from, because there are other players out there. So you're probably wondering where Fobi came from. You want to know more, get to their Agoracom hub, go to the profile page. We know there's a lot of tech here, so we've got to kind of neatly summarize for you. And then from there, link over the company's site, do your deep dive due diligence, and we're happy to have you. Thanks for joining us. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you next time. Hey guys, this video is over, but don't forget to help your company by liking it and even leaving a comment below. And then don't forget to help yourself by subscribing to our channel and never missing another great Agoracom small cap video.